In the past, I've looked at a couple of these fanless little mini PC sticks from Azulle, but this ought to be really interesting. Not to say the other ones were not interesting, but this does add a few more possibilities. This is the Azulle Byte Plus fanless Windows 10 mini desktop PC. Now the really cool thing about this as compared to the previous ones, it's got more ports, it's got more space for things, and it's got a much faster processor. Taking a look at the side of the box here, of course, full Windows 10 operating system on it. This one has 2 gigs of RAM with 32 gigs of storage. They do also have a version with 4 gigs of RAM and 64 gigs of storage. But most importantly, in my opinion, the Cherry Trail Z8300 processor, it's a quad core, significantly more powerful than the little fanless sticks I was looking at, and dual monitor display capability, because the previous one was just HDMI only, and only one. Let's open it up and see what it looks like. So start on this side. This is interesting, an auto run jumper. Power supply with barrel connector. I don't know if you can see it there, but it actually says it's a 12 volt 1 amp power supply. Here's the PC itself. Card about the Azulle company. A quick guide, just shows you where all the buttons and everything are. Product specs over here. And that's it, that's everything that was in the box. Now the very first thing I will say about this upon just picking it up, I guess there was a part of me, because it said fanless, I kind of expected to be something tiny and lightweight like this is. This is a little bit of a hefty brick. I mean, it's not so heavy that I can't just hold it here in my hand, but it's got some weight to it. You could hit somebody in the head with it and it would probably do some damage. But just taking a quick look around it, you see the big button here on the front. This is presumably the power button. Just give it a little push there. It says Byte Plus down here. There you see it. There's a pretty significant warning sticker there on the top, basically saying that this is all made out of metal and the CPU in here can get very hot if you're doing intensive things. So this might get very hot on top. We've got nothing on this side. We've got a micro SD card slot on that side. That same pattern that we see on the sticks here, you can kind of see it on the stick, but it's just circular pattern all the way around on the bottom side. And then on the back you have the Wi-Fi antenna, VGA output, what appears to be 3 USB ports, 1, 2, and 3, and they're all numbered. And of course, just looking at the color, USB 3 and USB 2, that's why this one's separated. 3.5mm headphone jack, Kensington lock Ethernet port, HDMI output, and the power input. And from looking back at the guide, this is HDMI 1.4, so I think that means it'll do 4K at 30 frames a second, but it will not do 4K at 60 frames a second. And I don't see anything mentioned in there about this being gigabit, so it's probably 10100. But still, an awful lot of stuff packed into a relatively tiny little form factor. Let me go ahead and take this sticker off. So we've got a slightly more clean and pristine surface. And actually with that, it's about time to go ahead and hook it up and take a look at what it does. Alright, I've gone ahead and got everything connected up. We're powering it up for the first time. I literally just put an HDMI cable, the power connection, and a USB plug for my keyboard and mouse wireless combo. And even though we're at a bit of a weird screen resolution, it looks like we're ready to get started. So, walk through the setup wizard here. You'll notice here it does have 5 GHz wireless. Very nice to see. I'll go ahead and take the express settings. And I'll be right back with you whenever the setup is done. And after a few minutes, we are back up and ready to get signed in. I'll go ahead and log into my Microsoft account and wait again. It wants me to set up a PIN. I'm going to go ahead and skip this step. If this were something portable, maybe. We don't want to do OneDrive, so we'll skip this. Cortana stuff, we don't have a mic on this, so we'll say not now. These are all things that you can enable later if you're so inclined, or if you have the exterior devices for it. Hi. Hi again. Okay, much better. After a lot of setup process of just waiting for it to finish, I got into Windows, I went into the resolution settings, the display settings, and from the advanced display settings, it was defaulting to 1024 by 768 for some reason. Changed it up to 1920 by 1080, and now everything looks very nice. Let's take a quick look at some of the system settings. We'll see the specifics of this and just make sure everything looks okay. We've got the Atom Z8300 at 1.44 GHz, 2 gigs of RAM, 28.2 gigs of storage with 16.8 gigs free. That is the 32 gigs of storage model. So this is the model with 2 gigs of RAM and 32 gigs of storage, as I mentioned in the unboxing process. There's also one that has 4 gigs of RAM, 64 gigs of storage. That would probably be preferable. But just taking a quick look to see what comes pre-installed on this machine. If we go into all apps, you can see just pretty much standard Windows stuff. The 3D Builder, I've never spent any time in. You've got links to Get Office and Get Skype. You've got Groove Music, a bunch of Microsoft apps, OneDrive and OneNote, Skype Video, Sway, which looks to be a Windows app, but I've never used it. voice recorder, weather stuff, Windows things, Xbox. Yeah, so it looks like pretty much just standard pre-installed Windows 10, nothing special to it. It's got a few of my customizations. That's why it's using this wallpaper, because that's the one that I used the last time I was on Windows. Minor side note here, I went ahead and connected directly to the TV, just HDMI into a 4K 42-inch TV, and you can probably see it down here in the corner. It says resolution is 3840 by 2160, so it is working appropriately on 4K. Of course, in setting it to 4K like that, it also scaled the size of everything, so you may be able to see right here it says change the size of text, apps, and other items, 300% recommended. So if you take it all the way down to 100%, yeah, that gets really, really small. Which means you can fit a ridiculous amount of stuff on the screen too. So just see how much screen real estate you've got now. I'm actually having to go, you can't even see my mouse, it's so small. So for a bit of a quick test of the USB 3 speeds, I've gone ahead and put a 3 gig file on a USB 3 flash drive. Let's see how long it takes to transfer it to the desktop and how fast it goes. It's actually going pretty fast there. So it's saying we're at around 40 to 50 megabytes per second. Not the fastest thing I've seen, but a part of that limitation may be due to the actual USB drive itself. I think I've got other flash drives that may be a little faster, but in terms of just raw speeds here, it's doing a pretty decent job. And for the sake of argument, let's see how fast it copies back. I've gone ahead and deleted it off the drive. So the write speed's going up and down a little bit, but it seems to be hovering right around the 18 to 20 megabytes per second mark, so still not terrible. It's not the fastest USB 3 thing out there, but it's getting the job done. And as you can see here, I took a little bit of time. Okay, I took close to an hour, and I let this run PC Mark 8, just the home version, running conventional mode, just sort of the everyday browsing, conventional usage, nothing top-end type stuff. And you can see here it has a score of 1187, and here's basically where it fits in on the chart. So it's lower than you would expect an Office or a gaming PC from 2013 to be. But again, this is a little mini PC. And I will note, it ran the set of tests 3 times, and the top of the machine got warm, but it was never so hot that I couldn't put my hand on it. I've got my hand on it right at the moment, and it is still kind of warm, but it's not uncomfortable. And without spending too much more time on it, let me basically just say, if you need a low power computer for light web browsing, email, video watching, things like that, and you don't mind maybe waiting a little while for things to happen, this thing will definitely get the job done. If you're looking for something with a little more beef to it, you probably ought to take a look at the 4 gig version of this. 4 gigs of RAM would make a pretty big difference. Takes quite a little while to load up even the web browser, but it's not all that bad. Looking over at Azulle Tech's website, it looks like this is available for $170 to $190, depending on which option you go with. And I'll see if I can find a link to where you can pick it up on Amazon if it's available over there as well. So thanks so much to Azulle for sending this out for me to take a look at. Thanks to you guys for watching. Leave a thumbs up down below if you like this video, and subscribe to receive more when they become available. And I will see you again next time.